The weight of unlimited options. Across longer time horizons, your day can turn into a scrolling referendum. Notifications, settings menus, tabs, and checklists asking for tiny votes. The cost is not dramatic, it is quiet. More time choosing, less time living with what was chosen. As options scale, freedom can shrink because the scarce resource is not possibility, it is attention and commitment across time. More buttons and more pathways increase the number of decisions that must be made, revisited, explained, and defended, and that ongoing overhead behaves like a hidden tax on agency. In the short term, abundant choice feels like a gift because it lowers entry barriers. There is always another tool, another plan, another channel, another setting to adjust. The immediate incentive is clear. Each additional option promises a slightly better fit, a slightly lower risk, a slightly faster route. Systems that can present more options are rewarded by clicks, by approval, by a sense of being modern and responsive. But the first constraint appears quickly. Human attention and working memory are finite. Options do not merely sit on a shelf. They compete for evaluation. Every additional alternative increases comparison work, increases uncertainty about whether one has missed something, and increases the need for justification. This produces a trade-off: breadth of possibility versus depth of follow-through. You can hold more options open, or you can close a few and build reliability around them, but doing both is costly. Over the mid-horizon, incentives create feedback loops. When an environment rewards responsiveness, people learn that leaving options open is safer than committing. We can revisit becomes a default posture, because reversibility feels like risk reduction. Yet reversibility has a price. It keeps decisions in circulation. Teams create more meetings to keep options aligned, more dashboards to track variance, more approvals to cover reversals. The feedback loop is simple. More options create more coordination overhead. Coordination overhead creates demand for tools and processes. Tools and processes surface still more options. What began as flexibility becomes a schedule filled with decision maintenance. Across longer horizons, the second-order effect is erosion of meaning. When choices are plentiful and easily swapped, the world trains the mind to treat commitments as provisional. Identity becomes a set of toggles rather than a set of practice loyalties. This is not a moral failure, it is a system property. If an environment constantly offers upgrades and alternatives, it quietly teaches that stability is irrational. The result is a subtle form of captivity, not imprisonment by force, but entanglement by endless evaluation. Sometimes more choice is genuinely liberating, especially when it removes a hard bottleneck or creates an exit from a harmful constraint. And sometimes constraint is merely coercion, wearing a clean label. The mechanism is not choice is bad. The mechanism is that choice has carrying costs, and those costs grow non-linearly as options multiply and as consequences become more ambiguous over time. Scale multiplies error. If freedom is reduced to the count of available options, then the system will optimize for option production rather than for a life that can be lived coherently. That optimization will look like progress: more menus, more variance, more pathways, more personalization. Yet what it permits and rewards is continual attention capture and continual reconsideration. Responsibility, then, is not only individual willpower. It is also governance, the explicit shaping of what a context makes easy, what it makes costly, and what it makes invisible. Governance is part of the system. When norms, tools, and incentives treat every commitment as temporary, the system externalizes the cost onto people's attention. They become the place where unresolved complexity is stored. Over time, the meaning of free can drift from able to act with intention to required to keep selecting. One act of reflection is enough for today. Name a single domain of your week: messages, subscriptions, projects, routines, and hold it at a 1-year time horizon. Then notice the hidden assumption embedded in its design. Does it assume that you will keep redeciding, or that you will be allowed to settle? There is a related tail risk worth naming without dramatizing it: that an environment of constant optionality trains a person to distrust their own commitments, and that distrust becomes the default stance toward everyone else as well. The point is not certainty. The point is to see the cost structure that abundance quietly installs. Freedom is not only the presence of doors, it is the ability to stop turning the handle. The future is shaped by constraints, not wishes, And humility begins by admitting how much we do not know about what our options will ask of us later.